Yep, you're there. You're right here. Do you see yourself? Hi guys. Welcome back to Geeky Chic. If you're new here, I am Thea, and this is my husband Andrew, and he's not normally here. But he is today because we are doing a review of the basically Avengers movie, Captain America Civil War. And that was my dog shaking. So you're probably gonna hear a couple noises from him. He's hanging out with us today. Except for he just ran away, but he'll be back. Ah, there he is. What did you think to start off?
It was cool. It was really good.
I thought it was good too.
It's definitely an Avengers movie. The only thing that made it Captain America-y was that Hydra was kind of involved, and then Bucky, the Winter Soldier, played a pretty big role.
And I think he was slightly more of a main character than a lot of the other Avengers characters were, whereas in the actual Avengers movies, they all get equal screen time, with the only Avenger who wasn't there, Bruce Banner.
And Thor.
And Thor, that's right. And Thor. Otherwise, all of them were there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of Avengers Plus, because, like, Bucky's not really an Avenger, and then...
Scarlet Witch, we got...
Well, she's an Avenger.
Is she an Avenger now? Okay.
Yeah. But Black Panther was introduced in this movie, and he doesn't really... I don't think he counts as an Avenger.
Not yet, at least, or at least much. What about Sam, the flying guy? Is he considered an Avenger now?
Yeah.
Or is he, like, Avenger Minor?
Yeah, so there's... I mean, they have that other group. But anyways, yeah. A lot of Avengers in this movie. Yeah. And it really felt like they just used the Captain America movie as an excuse to make another Avengers movie. And I think it worked out.
It was really good. There
were a lot of superheroes, but I think it worked by and large because we were already acquainted with most of the superheroes that were in this. Like, we already know who Captain America is, who Iron Man is, and all the other cast members. And then they kind of, added a little bit more on top of that with Black Panther
and then Ant-Man and Spider-Man. We finally got some Spider-Man. And I hope they do his own movie.
They're working on it already.
It's
called Spider-Man Homecoming.
I am glad.
And it stars Tom Holland.
The guy who was Spider-Man in this movie. Okay, I liked him a lot as Spider-Man. I think that he fit the character very well.
He's a lot younger.
That's what I was gonna say.
Than the other
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
At least the cinematic adaptations of Spider-Man thus far. Spider-Man started out as a teenager in the comic books, and I think this adaptation of Spider-Man is the most true to the comic books.
He actually looks like a teenager. And that's kind of one of my biggest pet peeves in movies, is that a lot of times they have like high schoolers played by people who are 22, 23 years old, and they look 22, 23 years old. This kid looked like 16, and that made me very happy.
Yeah.
It felt much more realistic.
He was written as more innocent and naive and inexperienced, whereas and so that being said, I do have a soft spot especially for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and then also I enjoyed the Andrew Garfield movies. I know that they weren't critically received well, but I appreciate them. But I do have high hopes for this Spider-Man moving forward. He definitely killed it in this movie, and in my opinion, he kind of stole the show, at least with the scenes he was in.
He had a lot of one-liners and just humorous moments.
That's who Spider-Man is. Yeah. Spider-Man is supposed to have quippy one-liners and is kind of a goofball. The other character that I think stole the show was Ant-Man, who I didn't even know was in this movie.
I didn't know he was either.
So Ant-Man did a great job with, he was written really well too. And then he also pulled out a super secret superpower that I won't reveal here. But like, I wasn't expecting it, and it came out really cool, and it made for a really awesome action sequence.
Yeah, and speaking of action sequences, there were a lot in this movie, which, I mean, it's pretty typical of an Avengers movie, but it did seem like there was more than usual. Like, there was a lot of fighting. But that being said, I didn't really mind, even though I'm not normally like a huge fan of just straight up fight scenes constantly. I like there to be a little bit more dialogue, but they were well done. I thought they were all very well done, very interesting to watch, a lot of hand-to-hand type stuff, and so it was cool watching them, pull out all these moves that are more interesting to watch than just guns fighting.
That's interesting, because I felt like it was at least kind of slow building up to kind of the first main confrontation between the two sides of the Civil War.
Like what you see in the preview?
Yeah. but like leading up to that, they took their time building up to it. But I mean, I liked that because it was this growing tension between the two factions, and then it came to a head in like their big all-out civil war. But it's interesting you said there's a lot of action, because I think there was, but it kind of slowly cycled and ramped up to
the biggest
fight. Yeah. If I had to pick something, something I didn't like as much, was that they kind of, without spoiling, they kind of pulled their punches with one of their scenes. They had this opportunity to really bring to the front the impact this civil war was having amongst the Avengers, and they had an opportunity, I think, to kill off one of the characters, but I think they pulled back and said, no, we're not going to kill him. I'm not sure if they are afraid to kill him, or they had future plans for this character, but I think it would have like spoke a lot more to how much impact this infighting would have, and really drive home the point that we really can't be fighting anymore, or the consequences of their actions.
It did seem like it was kind of like that movie where they're like, oh, we want to make it more family friendly, so just like keep everybody alive.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. No one dies. It's all good, guys.
I mean, there was consequences from this character being injured, but I think they could have taken it a step farther.
Yeah, it's what I like to call the once upon a time syndrome, where they just don't kill anybody, and it doesn't have as much impact if no one dies permanently, because I mean, in real life, not everyone's gonna live every time. That's really one of my biggest complaints. The other biggest complaint was that, and this probably isn't the same for everybody, but you didn't really know the bad guy's motive until the end of the movie, and I was so confused the whole time. I'm like, what does he have against them? Like, what's going on? Why is he mad?
I thought that was great though, because like when they revealed his motive, I thought it worked really well, and
it did.
It drove the tension up another notch in the Civil War, and I really liked how they handled that.
And I do think that overall it probably was the best choice, but me as a person, I don't like to be kept in the dark. I like to know what's happening the whole time, and just not being able to know what was going on, like why he was being a bad guy, oh, it hurt my head. I was like, no, why? I don't understand. Who are you?
Yeah, and it was different. It was a different motive. Without spoiling, it was a different motive than you see a lot of the bad guys. A lot of bad guys want to take over the world. They want to destroy the city. But this guy was different. Yeah. That's not to say he was an especially memorable bad guy. No. Which could be kind of a complaint of the kind of the character storytelling.
Yeah, he wasn't like a super interesting character.
But he did have an interesting motive, and it played out pretty well.
Yeah, his backstory was good. So the other thing that I want to talk about was I couldn't decide whose side I was on. Like, I kept bouncing back and forth between Captain America and Iron Man, and the thing is, going into it, I thought that the positions that each of them took were switched. I had gone into the movie thinking I was on Iron Man's side, but also he's my favorite, so I'm just like, yeah, of course, Iron Man's side. And then I realized that Captain America was actually the side that I was on, but then I found out, but then Iron Man made some really good points. I'm like, actually, no, he makes good points. Like, that's true, so maybe I'm on his side. But then Captain America made some good points. I was bouncing back and forth.
That's actually a really good, you make a good point, because I think this movie could have flopped, and it wrote a lot on the characters' motivations and the character development. Ensuring that especially Iron Man and Captain America have solid motivations is kind of what drives this plot forward and makes the audience believe in why the Civil War is happening. Yeah, and I think they did a good job in conveying why these people believe what they do. Cap is very attached to his friend. Iron Man is very attached to his cause and wants to be able to continue doing that. I do want to note that Civil War is based on a comic book event called Civil War, but the war itself and the driving force behind the war was changed for the cinematic universe. Okay. So in the comic books, the war was whether superheroes should have to register their identities, because in the comic books, most superheroes' identities were secret.
Right.
But in the cinematic universe, that's not as much as a factor. Most, like, the public knows who Iron Man is. The public, I think even a lot of people know who Captain America is.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all the
everybody does.
All the other superheroes. And so they had to come up with another reason that, superheroes need to be reined in, basically. So the kind of the intervening government is still the driving factor, like the comic books, but now it's the Avengers should be controlled by the UN or not, and this kind of was brought forward from the previous Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was interesting that they still kept the spirit of Civil War, but changed the underlying motive.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
They've set themselves up in an interesting position without explaining how it ended. Like, the Avengers team is different coming out of this, which is good. I mean, you want your characters to grow and change, and so it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Yeah. And whether the outcome of this movie will affect Doctor Strange coming up later this year, whether it'll play into the Netflix shows. I kind of think it won't.
Probably not.
They're mostly
much.
independent. There's very light references to what's going on in the rest of the cinematic universe in those shows.
Yeah, so they'd be like, hey, remember that one time the Avengers people did this?
Yeah.
But
it's even subtler than that.
Yeah.
They call it the New York incident or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I think if anything, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show will be more effective than the Marvel or the Netflix shows.
And then this movie got me hyped for the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
I think it comes out next year, 2017.
I'm excited for that.
So that should be really interesting.
And also, when does the next Avengers movie come out?
I think it's also
next year too?
2017.
Okay, cool.
It might be 2018.
I wonder if that's going to play directly off of this movie. It probably will, at least sort of. It'll definitely have repercussions.
Oh yeah, no, like you there's no going back from what's happened after this movie, and that's pretty cool to see, like, how that's gonna transition moving forward.
Yeah. Overall, I definitely can say that this is one of my favorite ones. I think it was less cheesy than they have been in the past, because
they struggle with that.
I think, honestly, Thor affects that quite a bit. So it could have been the fact that he wasn't there. I think it definitely helped, because he is definitely one of the more cheesy characters.
Oddly enough, I feel like I don't know what it is, but something about Black Widow adds to the cheese factor, because, like, I'm used to espionage movies. I'm used to, like, spy movies like James Bond, Jason Bourne, where it's really serious, really gritty and dark, and then you kind of have that caricature in Black Widow, but it's not quite as serious or dark or gritty, and it comes off a little bit more cartoony. I mean, I understand it's a comic book movie, but, like,
the fact that she's, like, halfway between the superhero and the spy worlds.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah. I think I get what you're saying.
But overall, yeah.
It's like she's a spy trying to fit in as a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. So overall, I did think it was pretty good, though. So I would probably watch it again, given the option. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to go see it in the theaters again, just because, money. But I would get it on, like, Redbox once it comes out.
Also, this is the longest Marvel movie yet. So it's over 2.5 hours. But definitely worth it. It doesn't feel long.
No.
It's really well paced.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was enough going where it didn't seem like it was dragged out or anything. And it wasn't long because there were so many things going on, like so many different plot lines either. Like the last Avengers movie, it was long, but it was because there were so many different things happening, which was not good. This was one solid plot line that didn't get dragged out. It worked.
And they managed that with, like, a dozen superheroes.
Yeah.
That I don't think has happened before. Spider-Man 3 kind of tried that with its bad guys, but where it failed was it was trying to introduce these bad guys and develop them as characters and make us care about their motivations or care that their motivations are wrong.
Yeah.
And that gets too disjointed, and you have too many different directions the movie's going. Again, like, it really helped that these characters are already established and we're focused on one thing, and everybody's focused on one thing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, even introducing Spider-Man, it was in the effort to propel this one singular plot forward.
Anyways, that is it for this review, and I hope you guys enjoyed. We are going to be doing X-Men when that comes out, I think on Memorial Day. So you can stay tuned for that. That's just in a couple more weeks. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Also, go check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those will all be linked down in the description below. I would love to hear what you guys thought of the movie, so go ahead and leave some comments letting us know what you thought. And also, if there's anything that you would like to see next, let us know that as well. But that is going to be it for us today, so until next time, I'll see you guys very soon. Bye! I imagine this month's will as well. Here's the box.